the basic requirement of control which binds all together so that
सेम बिल्डिंग है सर, कलर भी सेम रहेगा सर.
maps
Sir Hanuman Rao garu, kindly mute yourself.
variety of
Sir
terrain
Hanuman Rao garu,
could be
kindly mute yourself.
viewed under one
అందరినీ మ్యూట్
perspective,
చేయండి
provide a
except
desired
speaker.
picture of the area. What Major Lambton started on 10th April 1802 was a geodetic control which became the base for the surveying in India later. 10th April is generally kept an open day by the Survey of India and the state survey departments where they supply all the information about maps and show how a map is made and how much effort is involved in its production and demonstrate the latest techniques adopted by the Survey of India in this direction. And now GPS and laser beams have made the control work and surveying simpler, but need lot of technique and precision besides security measures to ensure that the data do not fall in wrong hands, as slightest lapse may do more damage than good. Maps are required by everyone for day-to-day life, and their use can make their life easy and better. Maps should be used in every walk of life for its smooth functioning. No wonder the system of GPS fitted in cars and other vehicles not only guides us to the destination but gives us the shortest route. The greatest advantage of knowing the location of the vehicle in which it is fitted so that necessary help assistance could be rendered as and when required. Today's chief guest will deliver the lecture on relevance of drones in survey, and great guest of honor will deliver the lecture on methodology of cadastral survey and challenges. On behalf of the Telangana State Center of IEI and on my own behalf, I once again extend a hearty welcome to the chief guest, Dr. Swarna Subbarao Garu, former Survey General of India, and today's guest of honor, Sri A. Bhaskar Garu, Joint Director and Vice Principal and the State Survey Department, and all of you to this important event. And I know everybody is eager to know their experience and their lecture is a worthwhile experts. Before I request Sri A. Bhaskar Garu, I request Professor Mohiuddin Saab, FIE convener of today's event, to kindly introduce today's guest of honor, Sri A. Bhaskar. And thank you one and all. Over to Professor Dr. Mohiuddin.
Good evening, one and all. I'm Professor Mohiuddin here. So very happy to introduce today's our guest of honor. So Engineer Attem Bhaskar is completed his bachelor degree in mining 1986. He joined as an under manager in Singareni Collieries Company. He also passed a mining manager in first class. Engineer Bhaskar selected a Group 1 batch in 1995 and joined as assistant manager in the survey department. Then he promoted as a deputy director to the Hyderabad region in 2013. He was appointed as joint director, chief commissioner, land administration, survey settlement and land records. Presently working as a joint director and vice principal of a state survey department. So this related to our Bhaskar sir. So a brief introduction. So over to Chairman sir. Thank you sir for giving an opportunity.
Thank you, Mohiuddin sir. May I request the today's guest of honor, Sri Bhaskar sir, kindly to share your screen and then deliver your lecture, sir. Over to Bhaskar.
Good evening, all, sir. Thank you for a good introduction about me, sir. Namaste to everybody. This cadastral survey means the survey of agriculture lands is one of the subjects of of course, very useful subject to the public. And this subject, after, as earlier chairman sir said, there is a lot of development in survey technology. DGPS has come, lasers have come. Nowadays, drones, UAVs are being used in survey, and all these things. In spite of all these introduction of all these technologies, there are certain challenges, and all the state governments are not able to. They are not able to even venture to go for survey. Of course, some have started and they are stuck up in between, and it is becoming a tough job to complete the project. So, from our experience in our survey, the survey department, briefly, I will give you some introduction about cadastral survey process, and then I will tell about this methodology. Then I will tell about the challenges, and then I will speak about the remedial measures. This is the how my presentation will go in this session. So, general survey, cadastral survey also, how do we conduct cadastral surveys? We will also provide control network, that is using DGPS. There is a standard, Government of India standards for NLRMP project, National Land Records Modernization Program, so stipulates certain density of control points. For cadastral survey control points, primary control points are at 16 kilometers grid, secondary is at 4 kilometer grid, and tertiary is at 1 kilometer grid. Such density of control points are required to achieve the cadastral survey accuracy. And
Bhaskar sir, small
Yes, sir.
request sir, please keep it in presentation mode sir, full screen.
That slide is not moving, sir.
ఫ్రమ్ కరెంట్ స్లైడ్ అని చూడండి,
sir.
లెఫ్ట్ టాప్ కార్నర్ జస్ట్ బిలో హోమ్, అక్కడ ప్రెస్ అక్కడ క్లిక్ చేయండి. హోమ్ అని చూడండి, ఫైల్ పక్కన హోమ్,
హోమ్ ఇన్సర్ట్ కింద సార్,
హోమ్ కింద హోమ్ ఇన్సర్ట్ కింద ఫ్రమ్ కరెంట్ స్లైడ్ ఉంది కదండి, అది ప్రెస్.
ఒక్క నిమిషం సార్. హోమ్
స్క్రీన్ ఈ కర్సర్ పైకి తీసుకో.
రెజ్యూమ్ షేర్ ఉంది సార్, న్యూ షేర్ అన్నది అది రెండు కాదు, స్లైడ్
ఫైల్ కిందది ఫ్రమ్ బిగినింగ్ అనేది కొట్టేయండి సరిపోతుంది, అక్కడ నొక్కితే సరిపోద్ది. మీ కర్సర్ అక్కడే ఉంది, మీరు క్లిక్ చేయండి వచ్చేస్తుంది. మీ కర్సర్ అక్కడే కనిపిస్తుంది మాకు.
Sir, Bhaskar sir, at the bottom you can see 76% is there na. Left side of that one there is a cup symbol. You press that one, sir.
Okay, sir.
Sir, at the bottom percentage is mentioned, sir. Right bottom side 76% is visible for me. Left side of that one there is a
in my
symbol.
system it's not visible. Okay, I'll
ఇది కర్సర్ భాస్కర్ గారు మీరు కర్సరే క్లిక్ చేయండి అయిపోతుంది.
Yes.
ప్లీజ్ ప్రెస్ ద కర్సర్. మీరు కరెక్ట్
Yes, sir.
పొజిషన్ లో ఉంది.
Yes,
కర్సర్
sir.
క్లిక్ చేయండి ఫ్రమ్ బిగినింగ్
Yes,
అని
sir.
క్లిక్ చేయండి.
చేశా సార్.
మరి ఇట్ షుడ్ స్టార్ట్. ఆర్ ఐ హావ్ బెటర్ ఆల్టర్నేటివ్. మీరు ప్రెజెంటేషన్ వాట్సాప్ చేస్తే ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ ఇంజనీర్స్ దగ్గర నుంచి చేస్తారు. దట్ విల్ బి ఈజియర్ ఫర్ దెమ్.
చేస్తా
Yes,
సార్.
yes, sir.
Otherwise, you click the F5, sir.
ఫైల్ సార్.
F5.
The F5 button.
F5
Also, yes.
On the, sir, on the keyboard, F5 button.
కొట్టా సార్. కొట్టాను సార్.
F1, F2,
F5 కొట్టారు.
I think his cursor is stuck. He has to move the cursor first. That is from beginning like that. Cursor is appearing to us, is visible to us. That you have to take it and click. Then only it will start.
Sir, it seems Sir has shared only tab, sir. I think he is on the other tab, it seems. He didn't share the full screen. He is on the other tab, it seems.
That's right. The screen is also not there.
భాస్కర్ గారు జస్ట్ టు హెల్ప్ యూ మీ పీపీటీ ఫైల్ నాకు పంపించగలుగుతాను. నేను మేజర్ శివకిరణ్.
పంపుతాను సార్.
సేవ్ మై నంబర్, యు సెండ్ ఇట్ టు మీ. మీకు పంపిస్తాను నేను.
I will send, sir. I will send.
యా. మీకు నేను ఇప్పుడే మళ్ళీ వాట్సాప్ పెడుతున్నాను.
Is it visible, sir?
అదే మీరు F5 అని అంటున్నారు కదా, ప్లీజ్ F5 ప్రెస్ చేసి చూడండి. F5 అని ఉంది కదా.
F5 చేశాను.
స్టార్ట్ ద స్లైడ్ ఫ్రమ్ ద ఫస్ట్ స్లైడ్ అని.
చేశాను.
ఇప్పుడు కనపడుతుందండి. ఇప్పుడు కనపడుతుంది.
ఇప్పుడు వస్తుంది సార్.
కనపడుతుంది. ప్లీజ్ గో హెడ్ విత్ దిస్ వన్.
But this is, I think, slide number 25. What is visible now?
25 కి వెళ్ళిపోయిందండి అది. మీరు
So
కొంచెం
you have
అది
to come
కర్సర్
back
మీద
to the
తీసుకెళ్ళాలి.
number 1. You just go up and click, sir. You bring that cursor is up. Where slides are there,
Yes,
just beside slides, you bring it up. Your cursor, the slide will come.
మిడిల్ లోకి రాలేదండి.
Huh?
మిడిల్ లోకి వస్తలేదు.
వస్తుంది. First, now he has come to slide number 3. Sir, some more up, sir. Slide number 1. Yeah, now we are in slide 1. Yeah, now we have to middle this thing. It's only one-sided. Full screen is not coming. You right hand corner.
Full screen under, full screen, sir.
Yes, yes.
I will make it, sir.
Above, sir. Above that. Beside into there is a box, triangle, rectangle box. Some more up.
బ్రహ్మారెడ్డి గారు ఒక చిన్న సజెషన్. మన స్వర్ణ సుబ్బారావు గారు రెడీగా ఉన్నారు చీఫ్ గెస్ట్.
I will send, sir. సార్ మాట్లాడమనండి.
Okay.
స్వర్ణ సుబ్బారావు గారితో మాట్లాడిద్దాం. బై ద టైం భాస్కర్ గారు పీపీటీ తీసుకుంటాను నేను.
Sir, by the time
మెసేజింగ్ యు రైట్ నౌ అండి.
That's nice, sir. Thank you for this thing, sir. We'll come back again to Bhaskar, sir. So may I request Dr. G.
Sorry for inconvenience, sir.
No issue, sir.
Oh, sir.
I request Dr. G. Venkat Subbai garu kindly to introduce our today's chief guest, Dr. Swarna Subbarao, sir. Venkat Subbai garu.
I am here.
Venkat Subbai garu, over to Venkat Subbai garu. Kindly introduce our today's chief guest.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. So it is a pleasure for me to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Swarna Subbarao garu. Coming to educational qualifications, he obtained his PhD degree from Department of Geoengineering, Andhra University, and awarded with the gold medal. Obtained Master of Technology in Transportation Engineering in the year 1983 from REC Warangal, and obtained Bachelor of Engineering in Civil Engineering in 1980 with the distinction from Osmania University. Coming to professional experience, Dr. Subbarao Garu first joined in the service as a junior engineer in Water Supply Division, Panchayati Raj Engineering Department, Andhra Pradesh, and served there from August 1980 to February 1981. Then as a faculty member in CBIT, Hyderabad, from February 1981 to August 1981. Then joined as Deputy Superintending Surveyor from 1983 to 2001. Then Deputy Director, Digital Mapping Center and Research and Development from year 2001 to 2004. Then served as Director, Survey of India, Kerala and Lakshadweep Geospatial Data Center from 2004 to 2008. Director, Andhra Pradesh Geospatial Data Center from 2008 to July 2010. Surveyor General of India, National Geographic Information System from August 2010 to June 2017. Coming to his fields of special competence, they are surveying, strategic leadership, strategic consulting, client management, institutional leadership, business analysis, international standards, program and project management, development of conceptual surveying data models and databases, design of management information system for road infrastructure, review and report of spatial data quality, information systems, survey, data management frameworks and policies, spatial data infrastructure. And affiliations, Dr. Subbarao Garu is a fellow of Andhra Pradesh Academy of Sciences since 2012, life member and presently honorary president of Indian National Cartographic Association, India, life member of our Institution of Engineers, India, life member of Indian Society of Geomatics, India, member of Indian Meteorological Society. Awards received: Gold Medal for Doctor of Philosophy entitled Geospatial Analysis of Morphological Characteristics, Process Dynamics and Hazard Vulnerability of Andhra Pradesh Coast, India, Andhra University, Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh, in the year 2012. Then a Lifetime Achievement Award from India Geographers Association in the year 2013. Present engagements are advisor, UPSC, that is Union Public Service Commission, Government of India, since 2019. Also adjunct professor at Nalsari University of Law, Hyderabad, since 2018. Visiting professor, National Institute of Technology, Warangal, since 2018. Member, State Level Steering Committee and Monitoring Committee on YS Jagannanna Shashwata Bhu Hakku Mariyu Suraksha Pathakam, and also advisor, Resurvey Project of Government of Tamil Nadu. Thank you, sir. So with this, I request Dr. Subbarao Garu to address the gathering as chief guest. Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. And good evening to you all. Andariki Sriramnavami Shubhakankshalandi. Before, incidentally, I had to be away from India. I'm with my daughter. So Sriramnavami konjam miss avutunanu. And today at least I can make use of my time in a better way, I feel. Before I start the presentation, because I think most of the participants or audience are civil engineers only. And for civil engineers, survey is what I say, it's an important subject. Aithe manamu today survey day, we are celebrating survey day, right, sir? Aithe long ago, maybe 90s లో అనుకుంటానండి. See, మధ్యలో తెలుగు వాడితే ప్రాబ్లం లేదు కదండి?
ఏం ప్రాబ్లం లేదు సార్. You can go ahead.
I'll try to avoid, but yeah, around 90s, through INCA, Indian National Cartographic Association, a group of us wanted to know who was the first surveyor of this country. An interesting thing, lot of everybody went around doing their own research work. And then it came out that the first surveyor of this country was one Mr. Todarmal. He was in the court of Akbar. during those days, prior to Todormal's period, the taxation was arbitrary. See, just the king or one, say on behalf of king, one functionary comes in and he'll just have a look at the field and he'll say, you pay so much. That was the taxation. Then probably either Akbar or Birbal, or we hear so many intelligent names to be in that court of Akbar. So one of them might have suggested. So they said we should have some kind of a land measurement. That is when the first, probably the survey started in this country. But if you go by the modern records and all, Survey of India happens to be the second oldest scientific department of the world. The first one is Swiss. They have the survey before us, about 25 years before us. But Survey of India in this country, which has done a lot of survey and has done a lot of surveys in this area, was started by the British, by East India Company, not even the British government. Even though the survey agency started in their own colony, they didn't start it quite some time, after quite some time of that. So that is about it. And the Survey of India, the National Survey Organization, as some of you may be knowing, it has completed 255 years as on today. In 2017, just before my retirement from the department, we have celebrated the 250 years of Survey of India. And in its journey of surveying this country, Survey of India has done, under East India Company at that time, it has carried out what is known as the Great Arc Measurement, which was mentioned earlier by the Honorable Chairman. That is a measurement of one arc of the earth from St. Thomas Mount in Chennai to Hathipao near Dehradun. So that is even today considered as one of the greatest engineering feats, greatest civil engineering feats, I can say. And then secondly, the instrument used was mentioned. That is known as the Great Theodolite. The Great Theodolite, every civil engineer knows today. The Great Theodolite, you know, it was, it weighed 1,200 pounds. It was almost 5 feet high and 4 feet diameter, 4 feet in diameter. And this theodolite was carried on two horses up the hill, because during those days, all the triangulation stations were established on top of the hills only. It was carried onto the top of a hill, assembled there, and then the measurement was done. So that is how difficult it was to carry out the triangulation in this country. But they have done that. Today, prior to that, after that, technology has evolved slowly. That 6 feet theodolite has come down to about a feet in height, and then the diameter into about 4 to 6 inches, with precision of 1 second or even half second theodolites have also come. And then the triangulation, of course, as long as only the theodolite was there, it was very cumbersome. To have one control point in an area, a new control point, it used to take a very long time, because we had to extend the control, which used to take a very long time. Today, as you know, to have a control point anywhere, it takes few seconds. If you have a GPS, if you have a smartphone, it gives you probably up to 2.5 to 3 meters accuracy. And then if you have a standalone GPS also, it is also giving about a meter's accuracy. And then in DGPS, or if you have the course network functional in this area, in that particular area, you have sub-meter accuracy available with any good quality GPS receiver. So that is how, what I say, how beautifully the technology has evolved, how advanced the technology is today. And it is still going ahead. And the drones are one, what I say, I don't know whether to call it infrastructure or something. They are sort of triggering these developments very, very fast. I will come to that subsequently. And as a surveyor, as a civil engineer, we should feel very happy and proud that in the recent past, say, since GIS, Geographic Information System, became popular, the realization has come across the society among, say, the bureaucrats, the engineers, everybody, that the importance of every activity of governance or, say, engineering, it has to be located on some part of the earth. So the locational data, which is known as geospatial data technically, it has gained immense importance. With this, what I say, with this and the advancement of GIS technology, a lot of change has come, and a lot of what I say, the quality or the performance or the longevity of many of the projects has gone up substantially. Now I go to the proper this thing. Next slide, please. Hello. Yeah. Now coming to the drones. Drones into the survey probably is the latest equipment that is there. And it is almost treated as a fancy machine in the sense that all of us must have seen a drone today. And these drones, when they made their entry, they didn't make it into survey. They made it. They made their entry into other areas. Actually, it is a defense electronics byproduct. The drone first importance was given in defense, where the drones were used extensively, and then it is released to the civilian this thing. And why I call it a fancy machine is that without understanding it, you can make out that it is a very good machine which can be used for everything. With that, it led to a lot of confusion also. It is multifunctional, agreed. You can use a drone to take photographs in a marriage. You can use a drone to spray pesticides in a agricultural field. You can use a drone to carry some load, a courier load. Or we have seen the news clippings about 4 or 5 years ago. In Hyderabad, there was a lot of, they made a big news that within 20 minutes or 30 minutes, using a drone, they carried a human organ from someplace, from the aircraft to the hospital. See, these are all the things that are possible. But this leads to confusion also. What people think is that, I'll give you the best example here. Like recently in AP only, I can say it's almost an open secret. When they started the resurvey, it was proposed that it is to be done using the drones. The resurvey of AP state has to be done, was decided to be done using the drones for capturing the imagery. Immediately, somebody proposed in the meeting that, see, the drone corporation has 250 odd drones, so we can bring them and use it. You can imagine what kind of thinking that is there. Not every drone is suitable for survey. Not every drone is suitable for what you call agriculture. Each drone has its own qualities, its own specialty sort of thing. The payload is what makes the drones, decides the function of the drone and all. That is not known. But that is why I said it is a fancy machine. You think you can do everything with that. We can, but in a certain way, you have to have a particular drone, then you can do a particular job. Drone is a multifunctional utility. As I said, it is a multifunctional utility vehicle. Today, you will be surprised to know that the cracks in a windmill blade can be detected using a drone without stopping the windmill. We have technology that is being used in India today. All of you must have seen the windmill, how fast the blade moves. Even that blade, without stopping it, using a drone, we can get its data, whether it has any cracks or anything like that. Okay. Similarly, the high tension lines are examined using drones. Bridges underneath. See, there are places in bridges where humanly it is very difficult to go. Dams. These are the areas where drones are extensively used, and the imagery is the imagery that they get using different kinds of sensors. Sometimes a LiDAR, sometimes a photograph, sometimes a sort of a radiometric based photograph. Various kinds of sensors are there. Based on that, they are using it, and it is possible. In India also, the technology has come and we are using it today. That is the, utility, that is the versatility and flexibility of the drone. Now, one of the best things about the drone is there is no human loss. That is why drone has become an indispensable tool in the defense. In the defense, if you speak to any army senior officer, like Kiran is there, they say, if you know what is there on the other side of the hill, the loss is very less. Like today, they can send a drone, see what is there on the hill without the drone returning. Drone can continuously keep an eye on the other side of the hill or obstruction, give the data, and it can be planned. The battle can be planned. That is the best use of these drones. It can reach, a drone can reach where no human or a machine, other machine can reach easily. And the best thing about the drones is most of them, the carrying machine part of it is, as on today, it is cheap. Not as on today, what I mean to say is, it is cheap compared to many other means. It is cheap and economical. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now coming to this, when we combine and say that we are going to use drones for survey, first let us see what is survey. I'm sure all of you know, it is just a sort of, I'll brush upon what is survey. In general terms, we can say a survey is mapping or depicting a place on surface of Earth with all the necessary details. It could be topography or it could be something else. And this certainly involves some measurement and depiction of details. And to make these measurements, we need horizontal and vertical angles, distances, heights, difference in heights, etc., etc. And the survey historically, it started with a white sheet, or it is known in real survey terms, or even in Survey of India also, we call it a blank PT, blank plain table section. Blank PT section is nothing but you paste a white sheet on a drawing board, put it on a tripod, then it becomes a PT section, a blank PT section. On that, the mapping started. See, you stand somewhere, say you are standing in the middle of a road, say you look left, first you mark your, north arrow, and then start taking observations. Like, say, the road, how far you can see, you draw a line in that direction, measure with a chain or a tape or something like that. Then mark the road on the left, right, then the nearest houses, trees, etc., detail. That is how the PT section was. The the plain table survey started. Slowly, it is improved. It improved to such a level that Survey of India, being served Survey of India for such a long time, I'm proud of it to say that we have acquired the best expertise in the world in plain tabling. We have done the entire country's survey using plain table. Without that, it would not have been possible. Not only that, we have developed on our own what is known as a clinometer. A clinometer is a small instrument that is kept on a plain table, which gives you the heights to an accuracy level of 1 meter and at a distance of more than 2 to 3 kilometers, almost 2 kilometers. The visibility is there. Maybe we could have gone 3 kilometers. You can take the height of a point that is at 3 kilometers without any lens system or anything, using a simple equipment. That kind of technology was developed by Survey of India and used, and we have done excellent job. And the technology, the instruments that came in slowly were first the chain, then the cross staff for angular, 90-degree measurement they used to take. Then the magnetic compass came, theodolite, then electronic distance measurement equipment came, and both of these things were combined. And then it was known as a theodolite mounted with a EDM, electronic distance measurement equipment. And then these two were combined to make a ETS, electronic total station. And then on the control side, we have the GPS, and then LiDAR sensors are also available these days, and GPR is also available. GPR is a ground penetrating radar, which gives you what is there underneath the land which you are surveying. Yeah. Okay. Now, as the survey was progressing, it turned out that somebody invented that if you have a two photographs of the same area, a stereo pair taken from certain distance, that is your eye base, they are known as stereo pair. If you have a stereo pair of photographs, with that you can create a three-dimensional illusionary image and do the mapping. That actually changed the entire scenario of survey and mapping. How it has happened? Now, next slide, please. If you go to the net and see, you will be surprised to see how the photogrammetry has developed, how the photography came into survey and measurement. It itself is a very wonderful thing, I would say. See, all of us must have heard about Leonardo da Vinci. He wrote, see, marking of details on photographs started as early as 1480. Perspective is nothing else than seeing an object behind a sheet of glass, smooth and quite transparent, on the surface of which all things may be marked that are behind the glass. What is behind the glass? You put something, you try to do depict these on the glass plate. That is what is sort of perspective projection sort of. Then all things transmit their images to the eye by pyramidal lines, and these pyramids are cut by the said glass. The nearer to the eye, these are intersected. The smaller the image, their cause will appear. If you just go through this, the next slide, please. It is only a statement he made, which says that you can have sort of a perspective image on a glass plate. From then onwards, he started. The first aerial photograph that was used for mapping, one sec, please. I think I have to minimize this. Yeah. The first aerial photography was captured from a plane in 1913 on the September 25th of 1913, it was presented. So a little prior to that, it was taken by one Captain Cesare Tardivo for a 1:4,000 mosaic of a village Bengasi in Italy. This he has made a technical paper and presented to the International Society of Photogrammetry in Vienna in 1913 itself. So that is the first aerial photography, and that is used for mapping, known to the world. A little prior to that, the US Geological Survey began to use photogrammetry for topographic mapping in 1904 itself. Then Wright took photographs from the ground using a panoramic camera in their survey in Alaska. They used a commercial camera modified by adding a bit of level bubbles here. Like you have to have the camera very sturdy and exactly what do you say, in a plumb line. The axis of camera should be in a plumb line. To achieve that, they use some levels, and certainly they couldn't have achieved. That is why the corrections are to be made. So since 1904, they started using it. Before flying also, before using them on the aircraft, even balloons were also used to take photographs, and people tried to make maps out of that. Please, I need a second here. I'll get back to you in a second, please. I've got an urgent. Yeah. Hello. Now coming back to this, as I said, see, using the balloons also, people went in balloons and they took photographs and they tried to make maps out of that. That is how the photographs have entered the field of survey. Next slide, please. This is Professor Reinhard Hugershoff, was a surveyor and a photogrammetrist who contributed a lot to photogrammetry. He has created the first analog plotter in 1921 itself, and that was called a Huger on his own name, Hugershoff autocartograph. That's a small machine where he could do a little, like some minor correction he could make, maybe the Y parallax correction, etc. And then that was used during those days. So next, please. Next slide, please. See, these are the machines he made. Hugershoff's machine. It is a projection type. It's a plotter, a small plotter on the left top corner, and then a stereo comparator on the right side. Next slide, please. Then a photo theodolite also. He has developed a photo theodolite. To a theodolite, he mounted the camera. Like then what happens is the camera is very balanced. Only thing is you get only terrestrial images. Based on that also, he tried to do some measurements and these things. I think he's the man who has invented the tachyometry. And then he has here at the right side bottom, you can see figure 33 is the aerocartograph. That is using a photograph, taking out, making a map. That is what this machine was. Sort of going by today's standards, it is crude, but going by the standards that were available on that day, it's an excellent machine. It should have been. Okay, next, please. So now people were making attempts to use air photography for creating a map without going to the field. The reason is that the best reason was that only. See, if you see Survey of India itself, see the entire country was covered on 1:4 mile, 1:62,000 or something, that scale comes in. On that scale, the entire country was covered using the field methods, like plane tabling. We have covered the entire thing. And then what happens was, then the photogrammetry has evolved. It has, it has matured enough that Survey of India has acquired some excellent stereo plotters. And then we took photography of the entire country. And then all these maps were converted into 1:50,000 scale, the metric scale. And then to do that, what we did was, we have produced all the maps in the lab itself. We used to call them photo units. photogrammetric units, where all these photographs in the form of diapositive, we used to use them, put them on the plotter, make the complete map in the lab itself, and then send it to the field. All these maps that were made in the lab were made in pale blue color. The reason was that blue color doesn't get photographed. So whatever is there, if a road is there in blue, that was inked in the field in the appropriate color of red, like a tree was given a green color in the field, and then other details, contours were in black, etc., etc. Then what happened was, when you take a photograph, rest of the lines were not captured, and the details that was drawn in the field were captured, which was sent for processing to make a map. This way, using photogrammetric technique, we have covered the entire country on 1:50,000 scale. Okay, this was much easier. It saved a lot of time. Had we tried the same thing by field methods of plane tabling or the other measurements, etc., that were available at that particular time, then probably it would have taken 3 times more than what it took using air photography. So now, as the air photography on one side, it was developing. Now, the science has developed, the technology has developed to such an extent that the satellites were sent into the orbit, and then the orbit is, and they were sending photographs also. So then they said, why not we try the photographs of the Earth and try to use them for making maps. Initially, the belief was that, I'll tell you this belief until 90s it was there. I remember I did my photogrammetry, advanced photogrammetry course in the year 89-90. At that time, we were told that satellite imagery is not useful for photography, for survey at all. The reason they used to say is it doesn't have the metric quality. So it's probably these kind of opinions caused a little damage. But finally, what happened was satellite imagery came into survey because it has acquired, or it has matured to the quality of the metric quality. Now, the first images from space were taken by suborbital flights. Before going, the first one was US launched V2 flight in 24th October 1996. Took one imagery of 1.5 seconds. Okay, with an apogee of 65 miles, that is 105 kilometers. And then again in 1935, earlier in 1935, it was only 22 kilometers. From 22 kilometers of apogee, I think is fair. From 22 kilometers, they have developed it to 105 kilometers, which was a leap. The first satellite photographs of Earth were made available in the year 1959 by the US Explorer 6. Then the first satellite photographs of the moon were also taken and all that. Then in 1972, US has launched the program Landsat, the largest program for acquisition of imagery of Earth from space. Then subsequently, around 80s, I have seen, 80s or 85, we got the spot imagery with 30-meter resolution, I feel, 20 to 30 meters. Slowly, the resolution started improving from 20 meters to 5 meters, 1 meter. Then now we have sub-meter. Not only sub-meter, it goes to maybe 5 centimeters, 10 centimeters. You ask for that, you get that kind of imagery. I don't know whether it is available or whether it is existing still on the YouTube or on the net. I have seen one Chinese imagery where, as you go on zooming in, zoom in, on the road you can identify if there is a road mark also. That kind of satellite imagery is available, and certainly it is there in the defense domain now. Probably in a few years to come, it will be released to the civilians as well. In the 1977, the first real-time satellite imagery was acquired by the United States, a KH-11 satellite systems. Then the most recent Landsat satellite is Landsat 9. Even in India, as you know, we have done excellent, advancement in satellite technology. We have acquired excellent satellite imagery. The entire country's imagery is available, and I think that is put in Bhuvan portal, which is available freely for anybody to download. Same way, in Bhuvan portal, you have the other convenience also. You can see the Survey of India map underneath, like a Survey of India map, and on which the satellite imagery is overlaid. This kind of imagery you can see in Bhuvan, which is an excellent facility for all the people, researchers and engineers also. Like the same thing earlier, if you want, say if you go back 20 years, or say we are in 22, around the 90s, late 90s also, would have costed you sky high. Today it is freely available on the net. Even Survey of India maps, until recently, there was always a complaint. I myself have faced so much of criticism in so many seminars, and wherever there was a public interaction, people used to say that they are not getting the maps because they are restricted, all that thing. Then finally, one day I convinced the Secretary of Science and Technology, who in turn convinced the Minister of Science and Technology, and we have put all that in WMS series, web map series. In the name of web map series, we have put all those maps on the web for free download. Today, you can download all the Survey of India 1:50,000 maps by just giving your Aadhaar card number, and you can get it in a PDF form. So that is what's happening. Now, next. Yeah, as I said, this satellite imagery earlier was used mostly for interpretation purposes, like for weather-related predictions in the agriculture field, in the soil chemistry, etc. All these things it was used extensively. But they thought, but the thinking was, I don't know who exactly propagated it, but the thinking was that it is not suitable for making measurement. So that is why people shied away from using satellite imagery in survey. But as the imagery, like when Iconos started, then it started off very well. It really took the people, the field of survey, and people adopted it. Like I used Iconos for making some exercise, and I was so happy that measurement, every damn thing is possible. By not only measurement, everything that you can do with aerial photography, you can do with satellite. That is the beauty of this, because the reason is very simple. Today, even the satellite imagery or air photograph, whatever you take, it is in digital form. You can use both of them excellently as you want. You can use it in digital form, and it has necessary metric qualities. It can carry out all operations needed for any. We can carry out all operations that are needed for any kind of mapping using satellite imagery. That is the status today. Next, please. A high resolution satellite imagery. Now, the satellite imagery, as I said, it has matured to so much that not only submeter resolutions, it has gone further to maybe few centimeter, 5 or 3 centimeters resolution also is possible. The submeter resolutions give accuracies that are needed for all kinds of surveys. And then the stereo satellite imagery is also available these days, which makes to acquire the heights also using the same imagery. And the best thing about the satellite imagery these days is that short cycles of acquisition. You can acquire it almost every week if you want. For some area, if you want, almost every week you can acquire that. That kind of facilities are there. And then, as I said, suitable for many kinds of mapping needs. And it is cost effective also. If you have a large area, it's based on the application. It is cost effective in many applications. And then, but it needs, satellite imagery needs a little advanced planning. So you just can't, buy today. You have to, it takes a little, time lag is there. Maybe a couple of, in India, it is a bit more. You have to indent through NRSC, and NRSC in turn acquires it and supplies it to the person. So that is why a little bit of time takes. Next slide, please. And then the aircraft-borne photography. Like air photography, as I said, from the aircraft-borne photography for survey or other needs, it picked up from the First World War itself. They thought if you take a photograph from the air, analyze it, you can do a lot many things. And then the same thing was passed on to survey also. But there are certain disadvantages with airborne photography. It is weather dependent, as there is only a small window for photography. Because generally aircraft, they fly above the clouds only. So because of that, when there is a cloud, the cloud coverage is there, you can't do anything. Even in peak, summers also, we can't take photography because, because of the weather condition, it doesn't. There is a small window. In India, the air photography window is open from September to February only. And secondly, it needs at least 1 year advance planning. Today, you may hear in meetings, if you attend high-level meetings and seminars and all, there are many people, especially the private sector vendors, they say that they'll get, all the permission in a couple of months, etc., which is absolutely not possible. There are many agencies involved. It is still, it takes few months, about maybe 6 to 8 months. So at least you need to plan 1 year in advance. If you want to have photography for this September, it is gone. This year is gone for you. Only next year, 2023, September, you can have air photography. This is the situation in this country. So that is a minor handicap that we have. Aircraft has to fly in from far off distances adding to the cost. Say you want to have the air photography of an area which is away from the airfield or an airport. See, even if the airport is 500 kilometers away, he has to park there, come back in the morning or evening, whenever it is, go back. This all adds to the cost of the photography. And today's resolutions of 5 GSD and 3 GSD, the imagery resolution that we are expecting today, especially for the cadastral survey, are at 5 GSD. In AP, we are planning at 5 GSD. For 5 GSD, the aircraft has to fly very, very low, which is not permitted almost. Okay. In many cases, it is very difficult to fly at that kind of a low thing. Otherwise, the alternate is that you should have a camera with a very high focal length. As on today, it is not there. There are very few cameras of that kind of a focal length in the world itself. So that way, it is not possible to get 5 GSD easily in this country. And then advantage with the air photography is that simultaneously you can put multiple sensors because the aircraft can carry tons of loads. Okay, a few tons, maybe 1 or 2 tons it can load. You can put the equipment there. So not only camera, you can load even LiDAR camera on the side or something else, infrared, this thing also you can load. A lot many things are there. As I said, if you want to fly high and take a 5 GSD, you need a super large focal length camera or super large format camera, whatever. Exact term, I'm not sure. That's why I put an oblique there. So these kind of cameras, as I said, they are very few in the world. Maybe a couple of them are there somewhere in the US or somewhere, which it is not possible for us to get. So for that reason, there is a handicap in aircraft-borne photography for very high resolution in it. Next. Next slide, please. Yeah, now comes the drones. With these, as the things are progressing, even with the digital air photography available, there is a constraint. There was a constraint until recently in the sense about say 10 years ago. The constraint was that to process a pair of stereo photographs, that itself takes a very long time. Okay, that is when we have done in Survey of India, we have done the survey on 1:50,000 scale or 25,000 scale. In 25,000 scale, one single photograph itself used to have 720 by 4, about 150 square kilometers of area it used to cover. Okay, 2 photographs, if you process them for a month also, you have covered 150 square kilometers in a month. But today, with the large scale that we are planning, per kilometer, you have few thousands of them. With 5 GSD scale, you get per square kilometer around 3,000 photographs. 3,000 photographs, even in digital form, if you take and process them, like you have to stitch them together, you have to, that is mosaicing, you have to mosaic them, ortho-rectify them, and then create stereo pairs and do the, adjustment and all that. Then you start data extraction. It is going to take very, very long time. That was the main constraint, which was broken about 10 years ago. Now, today we have software. They do everything automatically. Because of that, because of the software development, the drone has become very popular. Today, there are drones and the software which make it possible that by the time the drone flies and comes down, you have all these 3,000 photographs stitched, ortho-rectified and ready for you. Ortho-rectified to some extent only. If you need it for cadastral survey, you have to maybe do ortho-rectification again, which is a very simple process of, if you have the control points data in hand, it takes hardly 10 minutes to do that. Okay, so that is a major leap that has happened. Because of that, drones have become very popular everywhere. There are 3 types of drones, basically. One is a fixed wing drone, which is like looks like a small aircraft. It flies a bit high and it has a longer endurance, and it is good actually. For surveys, it gives a good outcome. And the second one is a rotor type. What you see in the marriages where they take photographs, that is a rotor type drone. This gives less outturn. It flies low, and but it is cheaper. It is much cheaper compared to the fixed wing. This is a bit cheaper. And then lastly, the best one for the survey use is that, which is one of the VTOL drone, that is vertical takeoff and landing. The problem with the fixed wing drone is that the fixed wing drone is made to fly using a catapult. You go to an open area with a stretching a rubber, they kind of some kind of mechanism, either rubber or what you call spring-loaded gun or something is used to fire this fixed wing aircraft into the air, and then onwards it takes over. The machine takes over. It flies as long as it has a endurance, and then it comes down to a designated place. But while landing, it is a difficulty. If it is the ground is not proper, or if you can't catch it properly, or if you don't allow it land properly, it gets damaged. That is one of the worst disadvantages of a fixed wing drone today. This is overcome by what is known as a VTOL drone. In VTOL drone, there is a small stand from which it takes off very vertically. Like you put the same fixed wing aircraft vertically, and then initially those two rotors, it will take it up, and then it turns horizontal and it flies off. And it does all the flying, it takes all the photography, and then comes back, and exactly it sits on the same stand. So the damage is very less, and what I say, the endurance of these drones is also very high. These are very high-end drones. Okay, and because of that, they are becoming what I say. Today in India, nobody is manufacturing it, but they are what I say available abroad, and they are very good quality drone. The quality of imagery that you get from these drones is also very, very good. And these are probably the best for survey also, because in survey, you need two things. In survey drone, the qualities that you require is, number one is endurance. For any operation, it is endurance. How long it can fly is important. Number two is that it's stability. The drones should be very stable, because we load a very high-end camera, and any vibration or shake in the camera position, it is going to give you a bad image. So the camera has to be very, very stable and very good. To make it, the drone has to be stable. For that reason, these VTOL drones are very good. Then the utilities of drones in survey, drones are in other areas. The drones can be used in agriculture sector, in engineering, in policing and transportation. In agriculture, I don't know if some of you have seen it. About a couple of weeks ago, I think, Government of India announced that they are acquiring 35,000 drones for spraying pesticides and fertilizers in agricultural fields in this country. Okay. Second, engineering, I have already described. Engineering, like you can use it for dam deformation studies, in irrigation, in windmills, as I said, in power line, power distribution, everywhere. Wherever you can't send a man, you don't want to send a man for the fear of human loss, you can send a drone, take a photograph. These drones are so well equipped that they have excellent sensors. They can go to the object as near as 50 centimeters or so. They stand there, they take photographs as you want. Like the photograph, you can see it on your screen and take a photograph and then call the drone back. These kind of facilities are available. And then for policing, even in policing and crowd control, drones are very good. And transportation also, the drones are very good. The other areas, they started sort of delivering couriers, etc. using drones. I think we are also probably running in the same direction. I know one company has made already a drone that can carry 500 kg load. If that kind of load can be carried, then only today they are suffering because of the distance that it can carry. When that is broken, then it will be very good for transportation as well. Of course, it can't, replace a truck or anything, but for important goods that need to be immediately transported, it can be adopted. The next slide, please. Yeah, the survey drones. Now, as I said, see, not every drone is a survey drone. The reason is that in survey, if you want to use a drone, there are certain qualities that are to be, that it has to fulfill. They are, number one, what is the payload that you are going to put on that? That is the camera. Like whether you have a Sony camera, whether you want to put a normal camera that take color pictures, or you want to put a LiDAR, or these kind of things you have to decide. And the load that you should be able to fix it on the drone properly. It is not like you put some load on the car, like you put it in a dicky where even if it moves a bit, it doesn't matter. No. Here, the vibrations, nothing should be there. It has to perfectly, it has to be put on that. Then the endurance, how long the drone can fly. That is another important thing. Generally, we carry additional batteries, but to load a battery also, the drone has to come back to the observer So for that reason, endurance becomes very important. You have drones with endurance of 45 minutes to 3 hours or so also in survey drones. So the more the endurance, the expensive it is, but it is worth spending in that area. Then the suitability of the camera. A suitable camera has to be selected for the survey that we are going to plan for. If you are carrying out a survey for an engineering exercise where you need, say, 0.5 meter accuracy, then you don't need to go for a very high-end camera, wasting resources on that, and also getting less data per flight. So these are the balances that one has to make. And ease in data collection. It is very easy to collect this data using drones. And the photogrammetric software. You have to select a suitable photogrammetric software based on the project. And then the most important thing these days, where many of the people miss, is that the compatibility of the drone with CORS network or VRS. CORS is a continuously operated reference system, or it is also known as virtual reference system of GPS network in some areas. Every drone, every survey drone has an onboard GPS receiver. If it can pick up the signal from the CORS network on the ground, then by the time it comes down and gives you an imagery, the imagery gets auto-rectified to a level of almost 30 centimeters horizontal accuracy. For most of engineering exercises, you don't need any control work at all. You can straight away use that and continue your planning. That kind of facility is there. Of course, this cannot be done for cadastral survey, where you need almost 5 centimeter horizontal accuracy, 5 to 10 centimeters, because 5 centimeter, why I said is that it is a 6 inch by 6 inch stone or 4 inch by 4 inch, that is 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter stone. Half of it is 5 centimeters. That accuracy is needed. But as I said, if the drone is compatible to pick up the CORS signal and do the auto-rectification, though they are a bit expensive initially, they prove to be more economical. And you have to see what are the safety mechanisms that are there against crashing. What kind of sensor the drone has. Like, as I said, the drone, if it encounters an object like a tree or a house, in a meter itself, it stops. And then it takes a different route. These kind of things are also available on the drone. All these are to be checked before you select a drone for survey. Next, please. Now, the government policy, I'm sure most of you must have seen that our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi ji, he's speaking more about the drone these days. He wants more drones to be used for many purposes. That is there. Government is encouraging heavily. They are giving a lot of funds to the startups who will get into the drones, either using drone survey or drone operations in agriculture, etc., etc. As I have mentioned, already government has announced that it is acquiring 35,000 drones for agriculture sector alone. Now, if you combine all the other sectors, I think it will cross about 100,000 easily. That is the kind of thing we have. Okay, next, please. The ongoing survey works. The government agencies are now there are, as I know, at least 6 states in this country who have taken up the resurvey work using drones. Now, using air photogrammetry, they want to do photogrammetry. Let us not call it either this or that. Now they are at a threshold of transition of technology. The transition is now they don't know whether to use aircraft-borne photogrammetry or drone-borne photogrammetry. Now they have to decide on aircraft versus drone. Now, what are the constraints there? One is aircraft. If we use an aircraft, what happens is today there are hardly 1 or 2 agencies in this country who own an aircraft that can be used for survey. So your tender becomes sort of what you call, you are making a tender for one particular company. That is one thing. And then others, what happens is whoever wants to go for the air photography, aircraft-borne photography for these surveys, they have to have a joint venture with a foreign company which owns the aircraft. That is making our entrepreneurs depend on foreign collaborations. That is, I think, should be avoided. Usage of drones will make India more self-reliant because in drones, you don't need anything, only initial investment. Probably the best drone, even a VTOL drone, if it is made available in this country, would cost around $50,000 US dollars. That is the price these days. Need more drone manufacturers of high-end drones in this country. To overcome this, we need to do this. And of course, government is making the policies more and more flexible for this. So let us hope after 5 years, we'll have good drones in this country. Next, please. Yeah. Selection of a drone. Once again, the same thing. I have missed some points, so I have made another slide. One is specification of survey to be done is more important before you select a drone. See, if your specifications says that you need a horizontal accuracy of 2 meters or so, or 1 meter, it is, you can take a drone and fly flying height can be more, you get more outturn, and you can do it very easily. Second is the payload, the camera that you are going to use and other thing. You have to calculate and select a drone, and endurance and time schedules and software requirements. And as I said, availability of control. If your Quartz network is available, you take a drone that can take signal from the Quartz network. It saves you not only time, a lot of money also. Otherwise, you have to provide your own control, which is a very expensive affair in survey. As you know, in survey, the field work is the most expensive one. Providing a ground control point in the field, not one, you have to provide many of them. It is going to be very, very expensive and add to the cost. Next slide, please. Okay, this is where I thought I would end about the drone. But since we spoke about this, I thought I'll speak a little about, okay, sir. I had some slides on GIS, but I think we can ignore that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful and pragmatic lecture on the eve of our National Survey Day, and so beautifully you have given us how relevant the drones in the sense of in connection with the survey field. Thank you, sir. Thank you for enlightening us with this thing. And may I request now Bhaskar Garu. Sir, kindly
Yes,
unmute,
sir.
sir.
I'm ready, sir.
Sir, or you want to share, or you want our?
I have
office-
already sent the PPT
Yeah,
to.
you have sent. They will
Yes,
share,
sir.
sir. Now
Okay.
I'll ask them to start. Bhaskar, sir, better. Sir, over to Bhaskar Garu. Kindly
Yes, sir.
proceed. Slide number 22 లో ఉంది.
The slide to be started is 22nd slide, sir.
It says it is getting
22nd
downloaded.
slide. 22nd
So
slide.
it is to be started from 22nd?
22nd, sir.
Okay, okay. Then it is, I think. అది కరెక్ట్ అంటే 22 నుంచి స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది. But your slide is displayed, sir. Bhaskar garu, unmute, sir. Please unmute. Sir, you are not unmuted, sir. Bhaskar garu, your voice is not. Program uన్నా అయిపోయినాక నమస్తే సార్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అయిపోగానే కాల్ చేస్తాను.
Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Now you are audible.
Cadastral survey, the objective of cadastral survey is to prepare an accurate map showing the shape, locality, and that of the survey part of land and its land register, its record of rights. For that, we conduct a survey, and for that, so many methodologies are evolved. Sir Subbarao sir has stated the evolution of told many things about the evolution of the survey technology. I will also tell the evolution of survey technology in cadastral field. So earlier we used to we were doing using chain and crosstalk and regular theodolite for control survey, that village boundary survey, and chain and crosstalk for individual land survey. And plain tables were also used with combination with theodolites. And later came electronic total station and DGPS. Prior to that, EDMs were also used. And later on, the aerial photography was introduced, and in survey, this cadastral survey also, aerial photography is tried, and it is found a suitable technology for cadastral survey, but it has its own disadvantages of that MOD, Ministry of Defense clearance, and environmental problems, that flying cannot be done during rainy season. All those problems are there, and but it's a best, cheap, easy, best technology and fast technology for conducting cadastral survey. Next, satellite imagery. Though nowadays 25 centimeter resolution imagery also is available for survey purpose. Resolutions less than 25 centimeters are available. Say they are available, but they are only in restricted mode. They are only available for defense people. That's why satellite imagery. If we want to conduct survey with satellite imagery, this 25 centimeter satellite imagery can be taken from NRSC, and we can do some. We can venture to survey with conduct cadastral survey. And aerial photography also, it is though it is very proved technology, drones have now replaced the need of aerial photography, that airborne photography, that taking photograph with a aeroplane. Instead of taking photography with aeroplane, we are taking with now, as Sir has covered, the drones have replaced, almost they have replaced the place of aeroplanes for taking aerial photography. And DGPS technology also, nowadays, all the states are going for course network, that continuous operating reference stations, where number of continuously reading GPS stations are there. And instead of using 2 GPS units, we go with one rover and take the accurate positioning within no time. Nowadays, the optimum technologies, it is course network and drones. Next, sir. Next slide. So what are the steps in conducting terrace survey? We establish control points. There is a Government of India norms for under NLRMP, National Land Records Modernization Program. Primary control points to be fixed at some 16 kilometer grid, secondary at 4 kilometer grid, and tertiary at 1 kilometer grid. And monumentation is that is putting some stones or some pillars in ground and observing GGPS. And after that, we have to plan and take UAV imagery, that drone imagery. And after drone imagery is taken, it is the drone imagery is stitched to make a mosaic, and orthophoto is generated. And orthophoto is checked for accuracy, and it is given for ground survey. And during ground survey we call it ground truthing. Ground truthing is nothing but visiting the field and marking the holdings in the photograph, that whatever orthophoto is taken, all the fields, survey fields are to be marked in the orthophoto. Next slide. So while we are doing that marking of fields in the orthophoto, we also collect the ownership details. That is, who is the owner, what is the land is holding, what is his old survey number, what is the nature of the land, whether it is assigned land, patta land, or Inam land. So many classifications are there to be taken, and how we acquired, a purchase or a gift or a partition, all those things are collected. And particularly the land register entry, old a legacy land register entry pertaining to that parcel is identified. The main crux of the issue is lying in identifying the old entry in that legacy entry of the land register and linking it with the new parcel. So any survey technology can be used to map a parcel, but linking of this data, that legacy data, and validating it with the new parcel record is the crux of the technology, the methodology. So otherwise, the survey, whatever survey we do, whatever the accuracy we provide, whatever the precaution we take, as long as the correlation between the old survey, that whatever legacy record is and new record is achieved, it cannot be accepted. So the methodology of picking the boundaries and linking it with the legacy record is important. And later on we do corrections in the records. After that, some statutory notices are given. After issuing notices, we call for appeals, and once appeals are received, they are disposed, that is heard and adjudicated, and then final decision is given, and then if required, some corrections are conducted carried out in the records. Next. Challenges. What are the challenges in conducting terrace survey? The most of the things, insufficiency of records, that is the legacy land records. This resurvey is a due generally. In Telangana state, it used to be conducted every 30 years, and in Andhra Pradesh, it used to be conducted every 40 years. But in Telangana, last survey was conducted in 1936 or 46, and in Andhra Pradesh, it's even before. So more than some 50-60 years are over, and the survey is not conducted. That's why a lot of non-updation of things took place, and records are not up to date. Even whatever records are available, are part of the records are only available due to brittle and torn condition of the records. many of the records are not available. Even revenue records are also, legacy revenue records are also not available for reference. Some, say, in a course of time, we lose certain part of records due to brittleness and age-old records. So that is the problem. Some 70% of the records are only available, and remaining records, particularly graphic records, are not available. And next. So particularly in this Telangana state, during Nizam period, survey was conducted only to collect the land revenue. The fields which are giving land revenue are only surveyed, and all government lands are open lands which are not being cultivated by anybody were not surveyed. They were only mapped, that is not even mapped. They were only they are while doing the plotting. While plotting the surveyed fields, a map is prepared, and from the map they have estimated the area of the field like that. So that's why whenever some government land is there, unsurveyed land is there, it is a point of inaccuracy in the map. And this traverse was also not done. Only valuable lands, wherever the valuable villages or valuable lands inner and around Hyderabad are traversed, that is using tiered light. And rural villages, no traverse survey was conducted in many of the villages. That's why there are such, and traverse is not there, and some large checks of government lands are not surveyed. So there is some inaccuracy at that, those parts, particularly near government lands. And after due to non-conducting of tree survey for last 50 years or 70 years, all the survey stones are lost. That survey monuments are not available. So many of them are lost. And not only that, most of the dry land is converted into wetland due to irrigation projects. And whenever the land is classification is changed, rise to leveling and all those development works, and most of the stones are lost. And there is a land grant system or assigning of land to the landless poor. And though they were assigned lands, most of the assigned lands are not having proper records. And they were not surveyed, or if surveyed also, they are not incorporated. And if they are incorporated also, the whatever assignee has tried to encroach into government land, all those problems are there. And many lands are acquired for development works. Roads are laid, many factories are there, so many new irrigation projects are constructed. A lot of land is acquired, but all these lands acquisition, after acquiring, all these records are to be incorporated in the records, the survey and revenue records. But though many of the records are incorporated, they still we find some acquired lands are not incorporated in the government records, and still rights go to claim their acquired, though it is not belong to the right, it is already acquired, it is acquired by the government, but these fellows try to claim the land due to inadequacy of records. Next. So not only that, lot of fragmentation took place. So last 70 years, earlier when the survey was taken, that original survey was taken place, only some 44 lakhs in Telangana, there were only 44 lakh survey numbers. Now there are 1 crore 42 lakh holdings. Means, so more than 4 times. Around 4 times the fragmentation took place, and all this 1,42 crore holdings don't have their location or shape are not available. All these are to be captured during resurvey. Not only this, some local practices are there. In Telangana, there is a practice of not going for registration. So they do transactions by Tada Bainama, that is on white paper. They purchase, they don't pay that registration, and locally they exchange the lands. And not only that, if due to some convenience, they exchange the land one person to other person, and it is not reflecting in the government land records. That also creates a lot of problem in conducting survey. And in agency villages, the land transfer laws are very strict, but land is sold, enjoyed by other person, but it is not reflecting in the revenue records. And there is some assigned lands due to violation of conditions of assessment. Some other fellows who are not eligible for the assigned land purchase the land, they enjoy it, though they are not eligible, and it is also a problem. So these are all issues in while conducting survey, and there are some forest and revenue land disputes, and there are many places rice are cultivating forest lands. Of course, there is a system of giving forest rights certificates, but when it is purely in forest, it's not a problem. Forest department is giving forest rights. In the fringes of the forest, it's a dispute. So the dispute has to be resolved before conducting survey. And forest survey, that is forest rights pattas, though they are provided with handheld GPS, they are not incorporated in any forest map. It's a due. And there are many footpaths, car tracks shown in the old maps, and when this land is developed by real estate people, many disputes are coming in this issue. Somebody say that this footpath is there, it is to be left by the developer, and developer says that since already there is I am making so many roads in the layout, why should I maintain the old car track or footpath? So some statutes to be amended for this aspect. Next. Next issue is so many encroachments in governments are there, and even landless poor are being doing cultivation in the government land. All those things are not covered by survey. They are to be enumerated and surveyed at least during this survey. And there is some we are using UTM coordinates for giving these digital records, but we have some area of the state is falling in this 45 east Q45 zone, and when the we are giving these coordinates in 44 and from district origin, and when you go to the field with GPS and use UTM coordinates, we will get as 45. So the inconsistency will be there. Of course, there now we are using only that geographic coordinates. We are not going for UTM in that place, particularly in Bodhan and that area, that western fringe of Telangana. And we have some problem with Telugu fonts also. Telugu name can be spelled differently, and spelling of name differently, particularly Muslim names, and it will do some error in the creation of raw records, particularly while doing porting or clubbing the data or querying also, it becomes difficult. And Aadhaar link or something, if Aadhaar is linked 100%, the above problem will not come. And in endowment lands and work lands are to be reconciled. And one more problem is there. The survey number is different in the a family is having 2-3 survey number, and whenever they distribute the land, they make the partition of it. They are not making the partition. Particularly that partition and the records are not matching. Generally, if there are 3 brothers, they take the 3 numbers, one person, one survey number. But in the record, they show the 3 names of all the 3 brothers in each survey number. Such discrepancies are there. And there are some court cases among brothers, and there are some revenue court cases. All those issues are to be finalized. Before going for survey, though LRUP and all the updations are taken place, and 2016 to now also it's some 4 or 5 years. So 4 or 5 years, many changes are taken place in villages. Before going for survey, we may have to go for one more updation before going for survey. Next. What are the remedial measures? So, as I said, we shall go for updation. One more round of updation. We may go. It's a suggestion. And incorporate all the acquired lands in the revenue records and survey records. List out the villages where records are not available or partly available, so as to conduct, provide more control points in those villages, and or to provide more survey teams to those villages. And we have already digitized and georeferenced all our control survey maps, legacy maps, but they were not done using accurate GPS provided control points. They were taken from the satellite imagery control points, which that is of some 2 meter accuracy points. So for cadastral accuracy, for preparing a good cadastral map to link with the legacy data, we have to observe at least 40 to 50 control points in each village. So, which NLRMP norms also stipulating. So, we shall go for more control points and georeference the control maps once again. And updating of data also. Not only that, training, a lot of training is required. Training of not only our surveyors, training of the persons who were trained in the old methods also be surveyed, trained in the use of new equipment, and they are to be trained in checking the they have to be trained in checking the quality check of the survey records, and not only that, to conduct a survey, that whatever ground truthing, if you take Telangana, it's around 1,12,000 square kilometers. And out of this, if we leave forest area also, around 85,000 or 90,000 square kilometers area is agriculture land is there. And it is around 1 crore 46 lakh holdings are there. To survey and visit each field and take it on the marking on the map requires lot of manpower. If you take 1.5 year, 18 months period, we require some 1,200 teams. 1,200 teams to work for at least 1.5 year, 18 months. And one team teams means one team consists of a surveyor, one CAD operator, and one more data entry operator. Like that, let's say three a good ETS surveyor and one normal surveyor and a person who knows CAD and some Excel work. All these people are required in a team. So like this, so many people are to be trained for going this survey. Of course, there is a method of crowdsourcing also. The best method, the one more alternative is to train engineering students. There are around 2 lakhs, say, if we take engineering college in our state, some 2 lakh students are studying engineering all the 4 years. Some 60,000 seats are there in every year. So 4 years, it is making some 2,40,000, but 2 lakh students are there. If all the students are trained, given some online training for 15 days, they can be given a project work of this work, and they can be trained to and instructed to map the holdings on the map. It's a thing tried in Indonesia, and even East African countries are doing this. Okay, and not only that, using of tabs are smartphones during field operations to carry the data to the field and link the data and do the work mostly in the digital format, so that any omissions are not there, and revisiting a field is not there. And not only that, after taking all the precautions also, there will be mismatching of legacy records and ground situation. And whenever such things are there, they have to be recorded and they are to be educated properly. If you take all these precautions, a survey can be conducted. Next, to start from slide 1, sir. Sir, let him start with slide 1. Slide 1. Next. Oh. Basing on the above study and all those previous experiences, we have designed a standard procedure of operating procedure for conducting survey in agriculture land, and it's a presentation. It will be repetition of all the things I have told earlier, but shall I, this, in the presentation, I have given all the steps of what we have to do, how we have to conduct the survey. It will be a repetition of the things. If chairman permits, I will continue, or I will close here, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
చెప్పండి సార్.
So, till now, I spoke about the challenges of the conducting cadastral survey with the modern technology of course network and drones. What are the challenges in conducting the survey? As per challenges I explained, and we have, after all these things, we have worked out a methodology of conducting survey. How we will conduct survey, I will explain. So for conducting survey, we have to do some statutory notifications. We will issue those statutory notifications. Next. And after issuing statutory notifications, we do Gram Sabhas, and we do identification of village boundary. So village boundary is to be identified. While doing village boundary identification, we find out the old boundary stones, that village boundary stones. And we also identification of government lands. We also identify the village side boundary. We give the dates for control point survey, and we also inform the villagers about the live details of flying by drones. And after that, we also give the dates of probable dates of ground truthing, that is visiting of field with the rights. Next, sir. The village boundary is fixed as per the legacy records, and some of the village boundary stones are selected as ground control points. If there is any traverse station available on the ground, it is adapted. Next. Next, sir. So before flying for drone flying, we whitewash the control point so that they are visible in the drone imagery. And next. Next. Control point selection and survey, it is already, I told, it is to be carried out as per the NLRMP guidelines, that is National Land Records Modernization Program. 16 kilometer grid for primary, 4 kilometer grid for secondary, and 1 kilometer grid for tertiary. And since we are doing some 5 centimeter GSD drone imaging, we may go for some more control points also. If the area is undulated and not plain, we have to go for more control points, even more than that. We may go for 4 points in a kilometer, square kilometer. Next. Flying scale is 5 GSD, I told. And if you do with aeroplane, it is 10 centimeter GSD. If you are doing a satellite imagery, 25 centimeter or 30 centimeter resolution satellite imagery is required. And if it is LIDAR survey, drone with LIDAR we are using, then we go for 10 GSD flying and 10.8 square kilometer points by what's that LIDAR. And some areas which are not covered by this drone imagery, wherever we do ETS survey, total station survey, the accuracy is closing at 20 centimeters. And during cut-down survey, from station to station, the only tripod is to be used for stations to avoid that leveling errors, centering errors. Next. So once the flying is done, the ortho photo is taken and it is checked for clarity and brightness and contrast. The error allowed, and we also check for accuracy. How you take a total station and we measure the distance between 2 points on the drone image and actual distance. We compare both. If it is more than 10 centimeters, we return the drone imagery for further identification of control points. And like that, aerial photography, if it is aerial photography, the error allowed is 20 centimeters, and in case of satellite imagery, it is 60 centimeters. Next. So then ortho photo is taken into A2 size prints. They are given to demarcators. Generally, surveyors, since if it is crowd source, means if you train volunteers or engineering students, they will be given these photographs and these prints, and they will be asked to go to fields and mark the holdings on the photograph. While doing so, they have to collect the ownership details of the lands, and of course, there will be revenue and survey department machinery available on the ground to help the volunteers. But to do this large, huge work of covering so many fields, we require the services of volunteers. Next. So ground truthing is participative, means we have to call the owner of the land, adjacent landowners, and VRO, that the revenue department person, and owners of government lands, land owning departments. All those people have to be called for while doing this ground truthing, means marking of fields in the photograph. This is the most important work, and everybody is to be given a notice, and giving of notice and receiving of notice is to be maintained. Next. Whenever some area is obscure or not covered by drone, due to some undulations, all those things are there, or some thick tree cover is there, then that area is to be marked and it is to be covered by ETS or GPS. And whenever some land is not physically not divided among the brothers physically, and they want it to be divided equally, that can be done by in a computer by taking their consent and their undertaking. and wherever ETS and GPS is to be deployed to cover the uncovered area, that difficult area, we have to provide required number of control points. Next. As I said in the earlier slides, this legacy data, carrying of legacy data, that is whatever existing land records are to be carried to the field, and the main aim of the objective of the team is to identify the entry, old entry corresponding to the field we are visiting, and we have to take photograph of the person, biometrics of the person, and try to record the Aadhaar number also. Although these also are very important to make the land record more transparent. And wherever some the landowner is something useful for the record purpose, that may be recorded in the remarks column, so that it will be useful in finalization of the records in the lab. Next. And during this ground truthing only, government lands have to be surveyed properly, and all the old tippers that FMU field management maps are to be digitized and superimposed on the satellite imagery, and to identify the government lands properly. Next.
Bhaskar sir, a request.
Sir.
We'll leave some time for questions, sir.
Okay.
Okay. You can conclude. I'll be grateful. Sir.
Okay. Okay.
One last step. Conclude just a minute. We will leave some
Okay.
time.
Okay. I'll complete in 5 minutes.
Right.
So not only 5 minutes, even big.
Thank you.
Next. Once the map is prepared, that orthophoto with all the parcels are marked, and a number, a working number is given, and it is linked to the land register data. It is given for quality checking. The sufficient number of quality checking teams are constituted, and they do quality checking, and there is a percentage of quality checking for the each level, and after that, once the quality checking is completed, erroneous data is either sent for resurvey or if it is a clerical error, it is corrected in the lab itself. Next. Once the quality check is completed, even people give applications during survey also, saying that it is not covered, my area is not covered, or some area is not covered, or adjacent fellow has encroached into my land, in spite of telling that the surveyor has not followed the proper boundary. Whenever such things are there, we do again we send a higher level team to check the issues and finalize the things there then itself. Next. And once this is done, the data is finalized. So now the record is ready for finalization. So we issue notice saying that your old survey number is this one, and your new survey number is this one, your old area is this one, and your new area is this one. So if you have any objection, you can file an objection within 60 days. And say there are certain cases, there are disputes while doing survey, and such cases also, they say that we found a dispute between you and your adjacent fellow, you come for hearing, and so like that, all these things are to be adjudicated by competent authority, a higher level authority, and cases are finalized. Next. appeals are, as I said, no, once we give notice, people give appeals saying that they are not happy with the survey. So whatever their problem, it is to be allotted to a higher authority, an officer, and that officer will issue notices and he will hear the case and examine the records and the field if required and pass appropriate orders, and that will be final. Next. So correction of records, basing on the judgment that hearing final order of the appellate authority, records are corrected. Next. So final records. What are the final records corrected? A map is corrected. Individual field map is prepared. Field register is prepared. Village map is prepared. A correlation map between old and new map, new records is prepared. Area comparison statement. Control point map is prepared. Ortho check certificates are given. Notices, acknowledgement of acknowledgement register of so many notices is maintained, and land petitions list is maintained. Final, all these appeal files are maintained. All these things, all the things conducted right from entering the village to the final of the things are prepared, and a check memo is prepared to check whether all the things are conducted or not. Like that, once the records are finalized, they will be implemented. With this, I conclude the session. So first I covered that methodology, then challenges, then the modified methodology we are planning to adopt.
Thank
Any
you, sir.
questions, sir?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your detailed and very exhaustive lecture and survey and challenges. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bhaskar garu.
Sir, thank you, sir.
May I request, before that, I would like to thank Dr. Major Shokiran garu, who for giving us help, and also to GeoMap is in association with this program actually. And also his father was a long this thing associated with the late G.S. Kumar garu with our Telangana State Center. I thank you, sir. I thank you once again. Now, may I request Dr. G. Venkat Subbai garu, Honorary Secretary of the Telangana State Center, kindly propose a vote of thanks.
You have to unmute yourself, sir. Venkat
Sir,
Subbai.
sir.
Respected Chief Guest, Dr. Swarna Subba. Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes.
Anyone, please?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. The respected Chief Guest, Dr. Swarna Subbarao, former Surveyor General of India. Guest of honor, Sri Bhaskar, Joint Director and Vice Principal, State Survey Department. Engineer B. Brahma Reddy, FIE, Chairman, IEA Telangana State Center. Professor Dr. Mohammad Mohiuddin, Joint Secretary of IEA-TSC, and also the convener of this event. Past Chairman, Council members, past Honorary Secretaries, members of Telangana State Central Committee, IEA, distinguished guests, representatives of media, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all. On behalf of the Telangana State Center of Institution of Engineers India and on my own behalf, I convey our sincere and profound thanks to Dr. Swarna Subbarao garu, former Surveyor General of India, who addressed the gathering as chief guest and delivered the lecture on the topic relevance of drones in survey. I extend my deep sense of gratitude to the Bhaskar, Joint Director and Vice Principal, State Survey Department, who addressed the gathering as guest of honor and delivered the lecture on methodology of cadastral survey and challenges. I also thank the dignitaries, past presidents of IEI, past chairman of IEA-TSC, First 100 secretaries of IATAC, council members, committee members, corporate members, and others who made it convenient and attended this event on this festival day. I also thank the representatives of media. Thanks to one and all. Now I request all of you kindly stand for national anthem. Mahesh, play national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.